I think there has to be a little bit of making up on Friday of the week just gone by, when he was invited in for a chat with Boris to take on this somewhat poisoned chalice.
Will these appointments, Steve Barclay, Geeta, Harry, I assume there's more to come, because he lost a policy advisor, he lost the chief of staff, senior civil servant, head of policy, I mean, there were so many that have gone. Does this do anything towards sort of saving Boris Johnson, or I got to ask you the same question I asked Dominic, which is, is it now inevitable that he goes?
I think he should go. I think the party will come to that conclusion quite quickly. The appointments are interesting. Steve Barclay is a former Brexit secretary who resigned from Theresa Government's administration when he had that role and couldn't square it with what he was being asked to do. He's actually now going to hold 3 jobs. He's going to be a member of Parliament, he's going to be the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, and Chief of Staff. I think he's accumulating more jobs than George Osborne, which is no small feat, and I don't think that that's something you can do. Apparently, according to the Prince, we were told that only on Friday were the discussions about this new idea of a Prime Minister's office, which is a dreadful idea. If you're going to have it, at least we should have a white paper explaining how it's going to work and give us a rationale for it. Because it's trying to entrench a presidential system that actually does not fit with our parliamentary democracy. And there will be other consequentials, as you said, Andrew. One which I find quite interesting is the suggestion that Chris Pincher, I beg your pardon, who's currently the housing minister, might take over as chief whip. Now, if we look at one other factor, since 2001, we've had 17 housing ministers. So if Mr. Pincher goes off,
In 300 yards, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355. Keep right. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London Heathrow Airport. quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
Cancer Day, Sajid Javid, 10-year plan to help fight cancer. It's all completely lost on me. And I have nothing but contempt for what's going on, right? And so that's the way I feel about it. I'm happy to take your views. You can talk about any aspect of that story. If you think we're being dull by saying who's next, I get it. Go 345 Go through the papers in just a second. Rajiv is with me. He's in Harrow. Hello, Rajiv.
Yes, morning, Andrew. I agree with what you're saying. I'm completely sick of it, and that's the reason that.
But you still call, Rush.
The leadership contest right now. I just think that they should just make it up as they go along, and I hope that he manages to survive. And I'll tell you why. I think that there is something very unpredictable about Boris Johnson and his administration, and I think that one thing he has been emphasizing that many other people haven't, although most journalists and media people don't talk about it, is the green agenda. The one thing that the Conservatives don't normally like, but I do support the green agenda, and I think that there is something very strong in some of his...
How much is net zero going to cost anyway? How much is
I'm not actually talking about... You see, the thing is that it's about... I think that they'll be able to negotiate it. I mean, on behalf of the public, they might be able to negotiate policies that actually make it cheaper. For example, they might start investing into nuclear power. So those are directions that they might decide to go in the future. The fact of the matter is that all the previous prime ministers have kind of locked Britain into these laws that make it kind of illegal for Britain to go above a certain kind of carbon dioxide threshold. And I think that obviously that's highly unrealistic what they've locked Britain into. And they might work out ways of
right. Why are my renewals obligations on gas and electric bills, you know, things like subsidising the cost of wind farms and other renewable energy sources, feed-in tariffs, or why is all of that stuff, why am I paying at a time where the country has got these enormous bills coming in and the energy cap has been raised by 54%, why is 25% of my gas and electric bill going on 6 levies that I can't truly and properly define? Is that the right time to be doing this stuff?
Well, you see, this is the thing. You see, I mean, there are these complicated problems for this country to solve, and so that's the reason that we don't really need another some kind of gigantic reshuffle of the leadership. And I'm not. I did. You know, I mean, when we vote people, we vote for the people that we see on the cover. And if we're going to be getting like somebody completely unknown becoming the Prime Minister, it's not exactly something that will make me very happy.
Raj, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the call. 7:25 is the time. Headlines in the Times this morning then. Well, apart from you'll need a tank division to drag me out of Downing Street, Johnson telling allies. Private schools gained COVID to boost grades. Proportion of A stars handed out to some A-level pupils doubled when the pandemic halted public exams. Although I have to say, this has been widely sort of looked at and reported, gaining traction on the morning shows. But it isn't just private schools, although their grade inflation seems to be very high. It was also state schools. Now, when I put that to a union representative on this programme last year, when teacher assessment grades were announced, I said, well, you know, if you've got a choice of giving somebody an A star or an A, or an A star and a B, then you're going to go A star to make yourself look good, right? And the school, that will be the pressure. Nonsense. They've got nothing but high integrity. Oh, really? Sean Griffiths is the education and family editor for the Sunday Times, and has got a name on the front page here. Got a name on this, Parent Power. Hello, Sean.
Good morning, Andrew.
I'm slightly outraged this morning about a few things. This is one of them.
I can tell. But you're absolutely right. I mean, what happened last summer was that we didn't have public exams because of the pandemic, and teachers awarded grades to their own pupils, essentially. So what we've done at the Sunday Times is we've looked at the top 250 private schools, the top 250 state schools, and this is in terms of, you know, how well they've done in GCSEs and A-levels. So these are our most academic schools. And what we found, school by school, was really pretty surprising. And although, as you say, state schools did give more top grades, A star and A grades, than pupils would have got had they sat exams, because we compared it to 2019, which is when pupils last sat exams, they did not do so in anything like the same proportion as some of our top private schools. And some of our top private schools doubled, even trebled the percentage of A star grades, the highest grades at A level, that pupils were given at those those schools. So, for instance, North London Collegiate School, that's a girls' school in Edgware, fees there more than £21,000 a year, one of our best schools. The proportion of A-star grades at that school soared from 33.8% in 2019 to 90.2% last summer.
That's just embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, where's the clearly the pressure has been on at these schools from the head's office, or just generally culturally, and this was an opportunity to make people, to judge, to make themselves look good. I mean, that can be the only possible explanation for that.
Well, I mean, I think Robert Halfon, the chair of the Education Select Committee, is calling for an inquiry into last summer's results, and so is Bridget Phillipson, the Shadow Education Secretary, because the problem is, if it was just a sort of, well, these schools look good because they've got these amazing results, that's one thing. The problem is that when you hand out this many A-star grades to kids, those kids are then more likely to get the places at the top at Oxford, at Cambridge, at the Russell Group, because they've got the grades. And so that state school kids whose schools did not inflate their exam results last summer might be pushed out of those places, and that obviously is not fair. So, I mean, it's a big analysis. It's the first time that anyone's looked at the individual results of our top private schools and our top state schools. And to be fair, one has to say some state schools did this as well. Tiffin School, it raised its proportion of A-star grades from 32% in 2019 to 67.1% last summer. But on the whole, state schools did not do it to the same extent.
It's too late now. This is one of the things that they were talking about in terms of our lockdowns and denying.
In 200 yards, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the second exit onto the M4 slip road to central London. Exit the roundabout onto the slip road. In half a mile, merge onto M4. Continue on Cranford Parkway interchange for a quarter of a mile. Continue on the parkway for half a mile. In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto High Street. Turn left onto High Street. In 200 yards, at the roundabout, take the fourth exit and stay on High Street. In half a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the fourth exit and stay on the Parkway, A312. In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto Great South West Road, A30. left onto Great Southwest Road, A30. In half a mile, at Henley's roundabout, take the third exit onto Bath Road, Great West Road.